At the state capitol today, lawmakers are looking toward November and the president's comments around nationalizing elections to increase federal oversight and require stricter voter ID. Danny Spiewak spoke with the Secretary of State, Steve Simon, about how the state is reacting. Danny?
Well, Secretary Simon testified before a Senate Elections Committee today, and in an interview beforehand, he said that he's not predicting that there will be any type of election interference from the Trump administration in the midterms, but he said his office is prepared for the possibility.
During his second term, President Trump has rattled many Democrats with his rhetoric around elections.
The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
These concerns are shared by Secretary of State Steve Simon, a Democrat running for re-election himself in 2026.
What he seems to be objecting to is certain policies that he doesn't like at the state level, and that's his right, and he can not like them. But our Constitution's really clear. The Constitution says that, elections are the purview of the states.
The White House claims the president's comments about nationalizing elections referred to the SAVE Act, a bill that's currently stalled in the U.S. Senate.
It provides very common sense measures for voting in our country, such as voter ID.
But if Congress doesn't act, Trump has suggested he may issue an executive order mandating voter ID in all states. Federal courts have already partly blocked a previous executive order the president issued last year around election rules.
What type of specific interference are you preparing for the potential of from the Trump administration?
And again, I want to emphasize, it's not a prediction, but it is a precaution. So it could mean a lot of things. It could mean federal law enforcement personnel in and around polling places. It could mean a last-minute executive order. It could mean interference of some kind with the Postal Service.
On Thursday, Simon testified about these concerns in front of a state Senate Elections Committee. Meanwhile, his office is still locked in a court battle with the Trump administration, which has demanded Minnesota turn over personal voter information to the DOJ.
Why are you against giving up those records to the Trump administration?
Well, our position on that starts and ends with the law, not our preferences, not who we like or don't like, but simply the four corners of the actual law. 32 states, including Minnesota, have said no.
Well, also in the Senate Elections Committee today, there was a DFL proposal on the table to increase penalties in Minnesota for election interference and intimidation, and that actually advanced out of committee with both Democratic and Republican support by a vote of 11-0 to go to the next committee stop. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Danny.